Welcome, Tashido Stream. You've found a place most people don't stay long. The kind of place that hums quietly after midnight, where the road never ends and the air feels heavier than it should. Tonight, we're pulling into the cold heart of the Midwest. A place built on long drives, frozen miles, and stories whispered over CB radios when no one's supposed to be listening. These are true Midwest trucker horror stories, tales from the drivers who never made it home the same way they left. You'll hear about rest stops that shouldn't exist, voices in the static, and things that ride along in the dark, just beyond the headlights. But be careful. These stories aren't the usual kind that fade when you turn off your screen. They stay with you. They wait for your next drive alone at night. Most people who end up here forget to subscribe before they go. Maybe they get distracted. Maybe something else catches their attention. Don't make that mistake. What time is it where you are right now? And where are you watching from? Tell me in the comments. I want to know how far the signal reaches tonight. You've made it this far. Let's begin. The second I saw the light flicker in that bathroom, I knew I should have just kept driving. It was close to 2:30 a.m., middle of nowhere in northern Wisconsin, the kind of rest stop where even the vending machines looked tired. My truck's dash clock glowed red, counting miles and hours I couldn't feel anymore. I'd been on the road since yesterday morning, eyelids burning, caffeine chewing gum doing nothing. I told myself I'd pull over, take a piss, maybe splash some water on my face. 5 minutes tops. The air was cold when I stepped out. The kind of cold that smells like metal and feels like it sticks to your throat. The parking lot was empty except for one old silver sedan parked way at the end, engine off, no lights. I noticed that because its windows were fogged from the inside. I remember thinking, someone's sleeping in there, and feeling weirdly relieved. Like, at least I wasn't totally alone. Inside the rest stop, everything had that echo, that hollow concrete acoustics of a place made for people passing through but never staying. The fluorescent lights hummed loud enough to feel like a headache. The vending machine buzzed next to the bathroom door. Stuck mid-cycle with a pack of pretzels dangling from the coil dot, I pushed open the men's room door and froze. Someone was humming, just this faint breathy hum. Female voice, off-key, coming from one of the stalls. I hesitated. Cleared my throat, maybe louder than I meant to let whoever it was know someone else was there. The humming stopped instantly. Silence filled that space like water. I stepped up to the urinal, pretending everything was fine, but my skin was crawling. You know that prickling on your neck when you're sure someone's watching you? That. When I finished, I went to wash my hands. The mirror above the sink was cracked across the top, spidering out like frozen lightning. The fluorescent light kept stuttering, flicking shadows across my reflection. And then, in the mirror, I swear to God, I saw movement, not mine. Behind me, Dot was so fast I thought I imagined it. Just a shape, a pale blur slipping past the last stall. I turned around, nothing. Empty stalls, doors half open, toilets clean but old. No sound except the buzz of the lights. I told myself I was tired. Just tired. Still, my hands were shaking a little when I reached for the paper towel dispenser. That's when I saw it. The mirror had something written on it. Faint, foggy letters that weren't there before. Like someone had used their fingertip to write in steam that wasn't even visible. It said, "Don't look back." I stared at it for a solid 5 seconds before I laughed under my breath. That nervous laugh you do when your brain's trying to make sense of something that shouldn't be there. I even wiped at it with my sleeve. The words smeared, but didn't disappear completely. I turned off the sink. The pipes groaned like something deep inside the walls was shifting. Then came a noise that didn't belong. A soft, wet shuffle from the far stall. My stomach dropped. The sound came again. A dragging, like a shoe sliding against tile. I backed toward the door. "Hello." I said. My voice cracked a little. "Everything okay in there?" No answer, but the stall door creaked, slowly, and I caught movement through the gap at the bottom. Bare feet, gray, like the color had been drained out of them. The toes were pointed toward me. I froze. The light flickered hard, buzzing louder, and then, just for a split second, I saw her reflection behind me again. In the mirror, a woman standing directly behind me. Long hair, head tilted, face pale like wax. No eyes, just smooth skin where they should have been. The light blinked out completely. I swear I felt cold breath on my neck. When the lights came back on, I was halfway through the door, heart hammering so hard it hurt. I spun around. The stalls were all open, empty. The mirror was clean. The words were gone. I stood there panting, trying to laugh it off, telling myself it was a hallucination from sleep deprivation. I'd been up almost 20 hours, running on gas station coffee and jerky. My brain was fried, but then I noticed the floor. Wet footprints. 2 sets, one from me, from the door to the sink. The other set smaller, bare, leading out of the last stall and stopping directly behind where I'd been standing, and they weren't fading. I left. I didn't even dry my hands. I just walked fast, pretending not to feel the cold air shift around me as I pushed through the door. The hallway outside felt wrong somehow. The humming of the lights sounded slower, like it was underwater. I glanced at the vending machine again. The pretzels were gone. I didn't even think about it until later, but I never heard the snack drop. When I stepped outside, the night hit me like a wall. The silver sedan was still there, but now the fog on the windows was gone. The driver's door was open. I could see the dome light inside glowing faint yellow, flickering. Something about that open door pulled at me. Curiosity or stupidity, same thing sometimes. I took a few steps closer. My boots crunched on gravel, echoing way too loud. "Hello?" I called. "You okay in there?" No answer. The driver's seat was empty, but there was a jacket draped over it, and the passenger window was smeared with what looked like fingerprints. Not dirty, not bloody, just oily streaks. Like someone pressed their face there and breathed hard. And then I heard it. That same off-key humming. Coming from inside the bathroom I just left. My chest tightened. I turned around slowly. The door was half open again. I could see the light flickering through the crack. Someone was back in there. I didn't move for maybe 30 seconds. Just stood there, staring at that door, every part of me screaming not to go back. Then, something in the mirror caught my eye. Not the big cracked one inside, but the tiny rectangular one on the side of my truck. It was angled toward the bathroom. And in its reflection, clear as day, I could see her. Standing at the sink, hair hanging straight down, facing the mirror. But her reflection wasn't facing her back, it was facing me. I don't remember deciding to run, but suddenly I was in the driver's seat, slamming the door, fumbling the keys. My fingers wouldn't work right. The truck roared to life, headlights cutting through the empty lot. I threw it in reverse. My hands were shaking so hard, I almost missed the gear shift. As I backed out, I glanced in the side mirror again, just out of instinct, and froze. She was standing in the doorway. Same white face, same tilted head. Watching me leave, the second my headlights hit her, she smiled, not a normal smile. Too wide, too still. Like a photograph someone was holding up. I peeled out of there, gravel spitting from my tires. Didn't even check for cops, didn't care. I drove until the rest stop was nothing but a shadow in the mirrors. By the time I hit the next town, my heart was finally starting to slow down. The gas station lights ahead looked like salvation. I pulled in, parked under the pump, and just sat there with my head on the wheel for a minute, breathing. The attendant came out, young guy, maybe 20. He asked if I was okay, said I looked pale. I told him I just had a weird moment at the last rest stop. He asked, "You mean the one past the river bend?" Near exit 192? I nodded. His face changed a little. He hesitated, like he was deciding whether to say something. Then he said, "Man, that place burned down 5 years ago." I blinked. "What?" He pointed out toward the highway. "Yeah, some lady locked herself in the bathroom there. Fire started in the maintenance closet. They never found her. The state didn't rebuild it, they fenced it off." I laughed. I actually laughed out loud because that was impossible. No, I was just there. Like 20 minutes ago. Lights on, everything. The kid frowned. "Sir, there's nothing there anymore." I didn't believe him. I even tried to pull it up on my GPS, but there was just a blank stretch on the map. No marker for a rest stop at all. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling. That mirror. Those footprints. That humming. I decided I needed proof. Maybe I was crazy. Maybe I was losing it from fatigue, but I needed to see it again in daylight. So I parked behind the station, crawled into the sleeper cab, and tried to sleep. Except I couldn't, because every time I closed my eyes I saw her face. That skin where her eyes should have been. That smile, and I swear, just before dawn, I heard something faint through the truck's CB radio, buried in static. A woman's voice. Humming that same tune. And whispering, "Don't look back." I didn't sleep. Not a second. Every time I started to drift off, that humming came back, faint through the static of the CB, threading through the quiet like a memory that wouldn't let go. By the time the sun cracked over the horizon, I was already back on the highway. My hands were trembling on the wheel. I told myself I'd go back, just to prove something, to see the ruins, to confirm the kid was right, to make the night before mean something rational. But deep down, I think I just needed to know if she was real. The fog was thick that morning, rolling low across the asphalt like slow-moving smoke. The exit sign for 192 came up fast. I slowed, my heart kicking harder the closer I got. The road leading to the rest stop looked exactly the same. Same cracked pavement, same faded white arrows painted on the ground. The same cluster of trees leaning in over the shoulder like they were hiding something. But the building wasn't there. Just a charred concrete foundation surrounded by overgrown grass. No roof, no windows. The picnic tables were still there, blackened from fire, half sunk into the dirt. A rusted trash can lay on its side, full of rainwater and cigarette butts. And yet, I could still smell it. That same industrial cleaner. That cold metal scent from the sinks. The air felt wrong, heavy, like walking into a place that hadn't been empty as long as it should have been. I parked the truck and stepped out slowly. The ground squished under my boots, the grass slick with dew. The wind didn't move right. It came in quick bursts, then died completely. Like the world was holding its breath. I found where the bathroom used to be. You could tell by the layout of the foundation. The tile shards scattered around, the broken mirror pieces half buried in the dirt. When I crouched down, I saw something that made my stomach twist. Wet, footprints. Fresh, bare, leading from the middle of the concrete pad toward the trees. I followed them. Of course I did. I don't know why. Curiosity, guilt, maybe some leftover adrenaline from the night before. They went a few yards, then disappeared into a narrow path through the trees. Branches snagged at my jacket. The farther I went, the quieter it got. No birds. No wind. The trail opened into a small clearing. And there it was. The mirror. It was propped up against a tree. That same cracked mirror from the bathroom. Spider webbing out across the top. It looked wrong, like it didn't belong outside. The edges were black with soot, but the glass itself was clean, reflecting the light in a way that hurt my eyes. I don't know how I knew it was the same one. I just did. I stood there for a long time, staring at my reflection. My own face looked pale, stretched, like the mirror was warping me a little. My eyes seemed too dark, Too deep. Then I noticed something in the reflection. Something behind me. A woman, standing in the same spot where I just walked through. I spun around, nothing there. When I looked back at the mirror, she was closer. I stumbled backward, tripping over a root. My breath hitched. The reflection shifted, like she was leaning forward. Her hair fell over her face, and the glass started fogging up. Letters appeared, slow and deliberate. Look back. I couldn't move. Couldn't think. Then something brushed against my shoulder. It was cold, wet, like fingertips dragged across my jacket. I turned. The clearing was empty, but when I looked down, a second set of footprints had appeared beside mine. Bare. Small. Facing me, I ran. I don't even remember the path back. Just branches whipping at my face. The sound of my own breathing too loud in my ears. I didn't stop until I was inside the truck with the doors locked, staring at myself in the rear view. For a moment, I thought I saw her in the backseat reflection, just a blur, like a shape of darkness that didn't match the space behind me. Then it was gone. I sat there until the sun was fully up, until the light felt strong enough to burn whatever that was out of my mind. Finally, I turned the key and pulled back onto the road. I told myself I was done. That was it. No more thinking about it. Just deliver the load, go home, sleep. But it followed me. A few nights later, I was parked at a truck stop in Minnesota. Big place, bright lights, a couple dozen rigs lined up. I felt safe there, surrounded by noise, by people. But at 3 a.m., I woke up to a sound that froze me in place. Humming. That same off-key tune. Threading through the dark. It was faint at first, like it was coming from another truck. But then I realized it wasn't outside. It was inside the cab. Right behind me. I didn't move. My mouth went dry. My eyes drifted to the small mirror, mounted by the sleeper curtain. She was there, standing in the narrow space between the seats, hair hanging over her face, body perfectly still. Her head tilted slightly, just like before. The mirror caught her. But she wasn't in the room when I turned. I yanked the curtain open. Light flooding the space, empty. When I looked back at the mirror, it was cracked down the center, like something had pressed against it from the other side. After that, everything started slipping. The mirrors in every rest stop, every gas station. I couldn't look at them without seeing movement. Sometimes it was just a flicker. Sometimes it was her standing there, watching. I stopped shaving, stopped looking at my reflection altogether. The humming got worse too. It would start whenever I was parked somewhere alone, through the CB, through the engine hum, sometimes just echoing faintly in the glass of the windshield. Then the messages began. One morning, I woke to find words written in the fog on the inside of my window. Don't look back. The next night, in the side mirror, scratched faintly in the dirt. Too late. I thought about quitting the road altogether, selling the truck, disappearing somewhere without mirrors or chrome. But every time I tried to sleep in a motel, she found me. The mirrors in the room would fog over on their own. The television screen would flicker to static, showing my reflection, but a half second too slow, like it was catching up. Once, in a cheap bathroom off I-35, I caught her reflection instead of mine. She was standing where I was supposed to be, smiling faintly. My body locked up. I couldn't breathe until the light above the mirror shattered. After that, I started covering every reflective surface in the cab with duct tape. The windows, the dashboard trim, even the rear view. I drove blind except for the road ahead, but she found new ways to appear. Sometimes in puddles after the rain. Sometimes in the sheen of metal on the tanker ahead of me. Sometimes in the eyes of people who looked at me too long. The last night I saw her, I'd pulled into an empty way station. Middle of nowhere again. The Midwest loves its ghosts. I was exhausted. The kind of tired where you start thinking, maybe if you just let it happen, the fear will stop. The station lights were flickering, moths tapping against them like small soft hands. I got out. Walked to the bathroom there, not because I had to, but because I needed to know if she'd stopped following. The mirror was spotless. For the first time in weeks, my reflection looked normal. Just me, older, worn out, dark circles, but me. I even smiled. That's when I saw it. Her hand, sliding up the inside of the glass. Pale fingers pressing against it from the other side. I stumbled back, hit the stall door. The surface of the mirror rippled like water. And then she whispered, not from behind me this time, but from inside my own reflection. Trade places. The lights flickered. The air went cold. My breath fogged the glass, and for a moment, I couldn't tell which side I was on anymore. That was 3 weeks ago. I haven't driven since. I sit in this truck, parked behind a closed diner off Highway 63, afraid to sleep. Afraid to see my face in anything shiny. Because last night, when I looked into the rear view, just for a second, by accident, it wasn't me staring back. It was her, smiling that too wide smile, and this time she blinked. I noticed the sign for mile marker 219 about 2 hours before dawn. That stretch of highway between Des Moines and Omaha is empty in a way that gets under your skin. Just blacktop, cornfields, and an endless sky that feels too big for the world. No cars, no houses, no noise except my engine and the hum of the tires. I'd been driving 16 hours straight, hauling frozen goods in a refrigerated trailer that rattled like old bones every time the wind hit it. I remember thinking how quiet it was. Too quiet. Not peaceful, empty. That's when the static started. The CB radio hissed for a second, cutting through my podcast. I turned the dial, thinking it was just interference. But then a voice came through, faint, broken, like it was being dragged through gravel. Help. Please help. I froze. The voice was high, maybe a kid or a young woman. I leaned closer. Say again? Who's this? Static swallowed the words then. I'm at mile marker 2-1. The rest cut out. I looked at the next green sign that flashed past in my headlights. 217. Ma'am, you said 219? I asked, voice shaking just a little. You need help? I can call dispatch. Silence. Then a sound that wasn't quite breathing and wasn't quite crying, just soft. Broken gasps. The line went dead. I kept the CB on, waiting. Maybe some trucker prank, maybe bad reception. The night had that kind of stillness that messes with your head. I told myself I'd check it out anyway. I'd seen bad wrecks out here before. Deer hits, black ice worse. When I passed 218, I slowed down. My headlights cut through fog rolling low to the ground, thin and silver like smoke. Then I saw something up ahead. A car. Parked half on the shoulder, hazard lights dead. One door hanging open. I pulled over about 30 feet behind it, grabbed my flashlight, and stepped out. The cold hit me hard, sharp enough to bite through my jacket. The air smelled like wet metal and something else. Something sweet and burnt. Hello? I called out. My voice came out too loud. You need help? No answer. The car was an old white Chevy, both front tires flat. The windshield spider-webbed. The driver's door was open, and the dome light was flickering. Inside, the seats were soaked, not with blood exactly, but something darker, oily and on the dashboard. Scrawled in something that looked like grease were numbers 219.219, 219. Over and over, filling the space where the passenger airbag should have been. I stepped back. My flashlight flickered. Somewhere in the cornfield beside the road, something moved, the stalk shifting like something large was walking through them. I called out again, quieter this time. Hey, you okay? Nothing. Just that soft rustle. Then the CB crackled again from my truck. Loud enough to echo across the empty highway. I turned. My headlights washed over the road and caught movement. A figure standing in the middle of the lane behind my rig. A woman. She was facing me, barefoot, wearing a torn white dress that clung to her in the cold. Her head was tilted down, hair hanging over her face. I lifted the flashlight. "Ma'am." She didn't move. "Do you need help?" The beam caught her hands, both of them clasped around something small and dark. It looked like a radio microphone. She lifted it slowly to her mouth. The CB in my cab came alive again, shrieking feedback that made me flinch. Through the static, her voice came clear this time. "Don't stop." Then she dropped the mic. I swear I heard it hit the asphalt, that tiny clatter echoing too long, like it was bouncing down an empty tunnel. When I looked back up, she was gone. I ran to the truck, slammed the door, locked it, and sat there shaking. The CB was still hissing. I turned it off and just stared at the road ahead. Nothing moved. No cars, no woman. Just the sign glowing faintly through the fog. 219. I drove. Hard. I didn't care about hours of service or logs or anything else. I just needed distance between me and that place. But when I looked down at the odometer, it wasn't moving. The miles weren't changing, and the green signs kept coming -219, over and over, like I was looping the same mile. I slowed, leaned forward. My GPS said I was still heading west, but the map wasn't updating. It just kept redrawing the same stretch of road, like it couldn't find where I was. I tried to radio dispatch, static, tried my cell. No signal. The fog thickened, pressing in close like cotton against the windshield. I couldn't even see the lines on the road anymore. That's when I saw the lights in my mirrors, headlights, behind me. Relief hit first. Another driver. Thank God. I waved out the window, slowing enough for them to catch up. But as the vehicle got closer, my stomach dropped. It was the same white Chevy, same cracked windshield, same dangling door. And in the driver's seat, through the broken glass, I saw her. The woman. Head tilted. Eyes dark. She was mouthing something, but I couldn't hear it. Then the radio flickered back on by itself. The same static hissed through, then her voice, right in my ear. Clear and wet, like she was whispering from inside the cab. "You shouldn't have stopped." I slammed my foot on the gas. The engine roared. But the headlights behind me matched my speed exactly, not gaining, not falling back. Just following. I don't know how long I drove like that. Could have been minutes. Could have been an hour. The fog started to thin, and for a moment, I thought I saw a new sign up ahead. It said 220. I almost cried from relief. But when I blinked, it changed back. 219. My hands were slick with sweat. I gripped the wheel so hard my knuckles hurt. That's when the voice came again, not through the radio this time, but from the back of the cab. Soft, calm, too close, pull over. I felt every hair on my arm stand up. I didn't move, didn't even breathe. My eyes flipped to the rear view. The curtain between the seats was shifting, just slightly, like someone had brushed against it. "Please," she said. "You have to stop," I whispered. "No." The curtain rippled again, and something cold pressed against the side of my neck, like a fingertip. The truck jerked. I swerved hard enough to hit the rumble strip. The fog outside burst apart in streaks of white. When I looked in the mirror again, the back curtain was still, but there was something written in the condensation on the window. Beside me. 219. I kept driving until the fuel light came on. My GPS suddenly blinked back to life, showing me somewhere near a small town called Red Oak. No sign of the white Chevy, no fog. Just a long stretch of normal road again. I finally pulled into a truck stop and parked under the floodlights. The whole place was empty. I sat there shaking, trying to convince myself it was exhaustion, that I'd fallen asleep at the wheel and hallucinated the whole thing. When I got out to pump gas, I noticed something in the dust on the trailer door. Numbers drawn with a finger. 219. I slept in the cab that morning, just after sunrise. The lot was quiet except for the hum of another truck idling 2 rows over. I must have dozed off for maybe 20 minutes before the CB crackled again. The same static, the same voice, only this time she said my name. I don't even remember giving it over the radio, and her last words before the line went dead made my stomach twist so hard I nearly threw up. She said, "They never find the next one." I didn't tell anyone what happened that night. Not dispatch, not the other drivers at the truck stop, not even my wife when I finally called her. What could I say? "Hey honey, I think I drove through the same mile of highway for 2 hours while a dead woman whispered in my CB." Yeah, no one wants to hear that. I told myself it was fatigue. Maybe sleep paralysis behind the wheel. I told myself I just imagined the car, the woman, the voice. I almost believed it. 2 until the next delivery run. 3 nights later, I was back on the road. Different route. Different cargo. I'd planned it that way, heading south toward Kansas this time. I thought a change of scenery would help. Around midnight, the CB hissed again. My stomach turned over before the voice even came through. "Help." I gripped the mic, hand shaking. No, not this again. Static swallowed the rest. But then came the words I'll never forget. Mile marker 219. I slammed the radio off. The number shouldn't have meant anything out here. I was 100 miles from Iowa, but the GPS showed my coordinates glitching, skipping, redrawing, stuttering like the signal couldn't find me again. And then I saw it in the glow of my headlights. A green sign coming up fast. 219. My foot hit the brake without thinking. The truck shuddered to a stop on the shoulder. I sat there, breathing hard, trying to convince myself it was just a coincidence. Every state has a 219, right? But when I looked out the window, the cornfields were there again. That same endless sea of stalks, swaying without wind. And up ahead on the side of the road, headlights. Not moving. I didn't want to look. My pulse was pounding in my ears. But my eyes found it anyway. The white Chevy, door hanging open, dome light flickering. Only this time, the passenger door was open. Something in me cracked then. I threw the truck in park, grabbed my flashlight again, and stepped out. The air was cold and still, no sound except the faint ticking of my engine cooling. I approached the car. Every step felt like walking into a trap I already knew was there. The seats were shredded, dashboard smeared with those same numbers, 219 over and over. But something new was written beneath them. Turn it off. I stepped back. The wind started to rise, the cornfields rustling like 100 whispers. My CB crackled behind me in the truck, faint but clear. A woman's voice again. "Don't let it run." I froze. "What do you mean?" No answer. Just static, and then, beneath it, something that sounded like crying. I turned toward my rig. The headlights flickered. The low hum of the engine started to pulse, uneven, like it was sinking to the sound of the voice. The air began to vibrate. The ground, too soft, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. I ran. The second I threw myself into the driver's seat, the smell hit me, sweet, burnt, metallic. The same smell from that night. The CB light turned red. No power switch on, no signal. Just glowing. Then the voice again, whispering right into my ear. "You stopped again." I slammed the mic down and yelled, "What do you want from me?" Static, then trade places. The lights outside my truck cut out. The road disappeared into black. I could still feel the engine humming, but the dashboard lights flickered and died one by one, for a long moment. I sat in complete darkness. Then something tapped on the driver's window. Soft, slow, measured. Tap, tap, tap. I turned my head. And there she was, standing inches away on the other side of the glass, the same white dress, soaked and torn. Eyes black, skin gray like ash. Her mouth moved, forming the words I could already hear inside my skull. Trade places. Her hand pressed against the window. The glass frosted beneath her palm. Spiderweb cracks blooming out from her fingers. I reached for the ignition, but the key was gone. Just dash gone dot, and then the engine stopped. I don't remember getting out of the cab, but suddenly I was standing in the middle of the highway. My flashlight lay on the ground, flickering weakly. The air was too quiet again. The cornfield still. Even my breath felt muffled. Behind me, the truck idled, except the engine was dead. I could see the exhaust puffing, hear the soft rumble. But the dash was dark. Then I realized I wasn't hearing my truck dot, it was coming from behind the cornfield. A low mechanical hum. Faint headlights cutting through the stalks dot another truck. Exactly like mine dot same model, same color. Same company logo. I stood frozen as it rolled slowly out of the field and stopped next to the road. The driver's door opened and someone stepped out dot me dot or something that looked like me dot same jacket. Same cap, same face, but its eyes were wrong. Darker. Flat dot it didn't look surprised to see me. It just smiled. I stumbled backward. What the hell is this? The other me didn't speak. It just turned its head toward the Chevy, where the woman was now standing. And nodded dot, she started walking toward me, her feet leaving black. Wet marks on the asphalt dot, I backed up until my legs hit the side of my truck. My double climbed back into the other rig, looked at me one last time, and drove off, taillights fading into the fog dot. She stopped right in front of me dot. Her voice was barely more than a whisper. Someone always stops. Then she turned and walked toward the cornfield. Disappeared between the rows dot by the time I could breathe again. The fog had lifted. The sky was pale with early morning light. My truck started on the first try dot, no sign of the Chevy, no sign of the other me. No footprints on the road dot, just silence. I drove until I hit a diner off the interstate and parked there, still shaking. When the waitress brought my coffee, she looked at me funny. "You okay, hun? You look like you seen a ghost." I just nodded dot, then she said something that made my blood turn to ice. "Had a trucker through here last week. Said he saw a woman at mile marker 219, same as you, I bet. Poor guy didn't make it far after that." "What do you mean?" I asked dot. She frowned. "Wreck, mile 219, you didn't hear?" I left the diner without finishing the coffee. Drove straight home, no stops, no sleep. Parked the rig and told dispatch I was done. But that night, when I finally closed my eyes, I dreamed of that road again, dot same fog. Same fields. Same white Chevy waiting at the shoulder. And standing beside it, dash me dot smiling dot, when I woke up. The CB in my cab was turned on. The channel light glowed red, and a voice whispered through the static, "Next one's already coming." The first time I heard the voice, I thought it was just skip interference. Every trucker knows what that sounds like, the weird, ghost-like chatter that sometimes bleeds through your CB when the ionosphere bounces signals from 1,000 miles away. But that night, it wasn't some distant voice from Texas or Canada dot, it was mine dot. It started around 1 a.m. somewhere outside Sioux Falls. I was hauling steel coil. The kind of load that hums through the frame of your truck like a heartbeat when you're running heavy. The road was straight, black, and empty, lit only by the red glow of my dash and the occasional flash of reflector posts. I wasn't sleepy, not yet. I just poured another cup of gas station coffee, had my CB on channel 19 for company. A few truckers were joking about potholes and troopers up near the way station. Then, right between their laughter and static, a different voice cut in. Deep, calm, familiar. Breaker 19. "You out here tonight, Dale?" "That's my name." I froze, hand halfway to the radio. The voice had my same low tone, that gravelly rasp I get when I've been driving too long. I keyed the mic. "Yeah, I'm out here." "Who's this?" Static. Then. You shouldn't be. I waited. What? Nothing. Just the steady hiss of the CB, like a long inhale. I switched the channel, thinking maybe someone was messing with me. But the voice followed. Every time I turned the knob, the hiss stayed the same pitch. The same rhythm, like it wasn't coming through the radio, but from inside it. When I hit channel 17, the speaker crackled again. You took the wrong exit. Dale. I hadn't taken any exit in over an hour. I stared out the windshield, scanning the endless road ahead. That faint shimmer of heat still coming off the pavement, even at night. Then, the GPS glitched. The little arrow marking my truck stopped moving, and a new road name flashed on the screen, one I didn't recognize. CB23, I blinked. That wasn't a real highway code. I tried to zoom in, but the map froze. The CB hissed louder. You hear me, Dale? You took the wrong road. I laughed under my breath, trying to shake off the chill creeping up my spine. Real funny, I said into the mic. Who is this, Larry? You and the boys running your ghost stories again? But I didn't get an answer. Just that same breathy static. And underneath it, faint but there, the sound of my own voice playing back. Like a recording. I told you not to take that exit. I hadn't said that. I grabbed the radio and flicked it off. The silence in the cab was too heavy, pressing into my ears. That's when I noticed the mile marker. It said CB23. No route, no highway, just those two letters and a number printed on a reflective green sign. The road started to change after that. The asphalt looked darker, slicker, like it had just rained, except my windshield was dry. The air smelled like burnt metal, and the hum of my trailer got louder, vibrating through my seat. I tried the radio again, just to break the silence. Dead, no power light, no sound, but the speaker still hissed. A voice came through again, this time quieter, like it was whispering directly into my ear. Keep driving. Dale, you can't stop now. I slammed the brake. The whole rig shuddered. But the engine didn't slow. The tack needle stayed fixed at 1,700 RPM. I wasn't moving my foot. But the truck kept rolling forward, steady, smooth. Like something else was pressing the pedal. I threw it in neutral. Nothing changed. The gears didn't respond. The brake pedal locked. My headlights dimmed. And for the first time since I started driving, I was not in control of my own rig. I don't remember how long I fought it, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 20. When the truck finally slowed on its own, I realized I hadn't seen another vehicle in over an hour. No taillights, no oncoming traffic, no towns. I got out, half expecting to find the road sign behind me, some clue where I'd gone. But there was nothing, just a single lane cutting through fields of tall, brittle grass that swayed without wind. No stars either. Just a dark, heavy sky. The air was colder now. Quiet, except for a faint sound, like someone whispering through a CB speaker far away. I climbed back in, turned the ignition. The key felt hot, almost burning. When I let go, the engine started on its own, and the radio came back to life. This time, the voice was clearer. You remember July 3rd? Mile marker 72? You didn't stop. My mouth went dry. July 3rd. That was 6 years ago, a night I tried to forget. A wreck on I-80, car upside down in a ditch. I was the first one who saw it, but I didn't stop. It was raining hard, I was tired, and I told myself someone else would call it in. A week later, I saw the story in the paper. Woman, late 20s. Died before help arrived. Her name was Anna, the radio hissed. She remembers. The cab lights flickered. Something brushed against the back of my neck, cold and electric. Like static itself had weight. I looked in the side mirror for a split second. There was someone sitting in the passenger seat. Long dark hair. Face pale in the dashboard glow. Then gone. The voice on the CB turned into a distorted version of mine again. Slow. Stretched wrong. You didn't stop for her, Dale, but she stopped for you. I floored it. The truck roared back to life, gears grinding as I forced it up to 60. I didn't care where the road led, I just needed out. The mile markers started blurring past, but they were all the same. CB23, CB23, CB23. Then the GPS spoke. Recalibrating, it said. Voice guidance engaged. Only it wasn't the GPS voice, it was hers. Soft, almost gentle. Turn left ahead. I glanced at the map. There was no left road. Just solid black. Turn left, the voice repeated, louder now. I gripped the wheel tighter. There's no road. Turn left, Dale. The headlights caught something ahead. A narrow dirt track cutting into the field, invisible until that exact moment. I didn't think. I turned. The tires skidded, throwing gravel. The rig bounced, trailer swaying. When the dust cleared, I was on some kind of service road, lined with old telephone poles that leaned like drunks. The CB hissed again. And this time, dozens of voices came through. Men, all whispering together. Overlapping. Each one repeating my name. Dale. Dale. The pitch changed. Rising, forming a rhythm, almost like a chant. The temperature in the cab dropped. I could see my breath fogging. Through the windshield, something flickered in the distance. A light. At first, I thought it was a house. But as I got closer, I saw it was an old rest area, one of those single building setups with a picnic shelter and bathrooms. The lights were on, humming faint yellow, but everything around it was wrong. The trees looked fake, their shadows too long, bending in the wrong direction. The pavement shimmered like oil under the lights. The CB crackled. You can stop here. I wanted to shut it off again, but my hand wouldn't move. It just rested on the mic, shaking. You can stop. Dale, she's waiting. When I parked, I noticed something written on the inside of the windshield. Drawn in the condensation, CB23. My heart started hammering. I wiped it away with my sleeve, but it came back instantly. The letters forming slower this time. Like someone was writing from outside, the CB squealed. Feedback slicing through the air. Then my voice came through again. Not live, but recorded. Don't go inside. I froze. That was me. Exactly me. The same tone, same breathing, same tremor in my throat, but I hadn't said it. The door of the rest area opened on its own. The fluorescent light inside flickered, and in the reflection of the glass door, I saw her, the woman from the wreck. Her hair was soaked, face pale, eyes like two holes burnt into her skin. She raised a hand, palm flat against the glass, and I saw the number carved into it. 23. My CB whispered one last time before cutting off completely. You can't turn the channel now. I don't know what made me step out, but I did. The gravel crunched under my boots. The air smelled like rain that wasn't there. The closer I got to the building, the louder the silence became, that thick, electric quiet before something terrible happened. I reached for the door, and just before I touched it, I heard my own voice again, not from the CB this time. From inside the building. Breaker 19. You out here tonight, Dale? I don't remember opening the door. One moment I was staring at my own reflection in the glass, and the next, the fluorescent light inside hit me, harsh, buzzing, flickering like it couldn't decide if it wanted to stay alive. The air smelled wrong. Too clean, like antiseptic mixed with ozone. And underneath it, faintly, burnt rubber. The building was small. Just a tiled hallway with 2 restroom doors and a vending machine humming in the corner. But everything looked off. The tiles were warped, bending inward, as if the floor had sunk in the middle. And from somewhere down the hall came the faint crackle of static. Turned the corner. There, Sitting on the counter by the sink was an old CB radio. Not like mine, this one looked ancient. Chrome edges, knobs rubbed dull by use. The screen glowed a deep red, showing only one number. 23. The static pulsed in rhythm with my heartbeat. I should have walked away. Should have run straight back to my truck, floored it, and never looked back. But I didn't. Something about that red glow pulled me in. I stepped closer. The moment I touched the radio, it stopped hissing. Silence filled the room like water, pressing against my ears. Then, slowly, the speaker clicked, and I heard my own voice again. You never stopped for her. I yanked my hand away. Heart pounding. The voice continued, calm and deliberate. Like it was reading from a script I didn't remember writing. You saw the lights. You saw the car. But you kept driving, Dale. Now the road doesn't want to let you go. The reflection in the mirror caught my eye. For a split second, I saw myself, but older, tired, pale. My jacket was ripped, and my face looked drained. Hollow. The older me raised his hand and pointed at the radio. I turned around. The radio was gone. In its place was a single CB mic. Cord coiled neatly on the counter. The speaker cracked again. And a woman's voice came through, soft, static-laced. But so close it felt like her lips were right against my ear. You can talk now, Dale. I shook my head. No, I'm done with this. The light above me popped, showering glass. The mic twitched, sliding an inch across the counter toward me. Say you're sorry. I didn't pick it up. I couldn't. I backed away until my shoulders hit the tiled wall. Say it, the voice repeated, sharper now. Say you're sorry you left me. I didn't know. I shouted. I didn't know you were. The rest of the sentence caught in my throat. The CB cut me off with a shriek of feedback, and when it stopped, I wasn't alone. She was standing in the doorway. The woman from the wreck. Her dress was soaked, dripping dark water that evaporated before it hit the floor. Her hair clung to her face, and her eyes. God, her eyes looked hollow, like she'd been staring through eternity and hadn't liked what she'd seen. You heard me, she whispered. You saw the lights. You looked right at me. I shook my head. I didn't mean to. You looked, she said again, voice breaking. And you kept going. The walls began to hum. The sound grew until I could feel it in my bones. The whole building vibrating like a speaker turned too loud. The floor cracked under my boots. Behind her, the hallway stretched longer and longer, impossibly far. And down that endless corridor, I could see shapes standing in the dark. Dozens of them. Men, women, even children. All pale, all still. All watching. Each of them held a CB mic in one hand. And every speaker in the room began whispering my name. Dale. Dale. I covered my ears, but it didn't stop. The sound wasn't coming from the speakers anymore. It was inside my head. Stop! I screamed. The woman tilted her head. You can stop it. All you have to do is say it. I closed my eyes. The smell of burnt rubber and rain filled my lungs. I'm sorry. For a moment, everything went still, then the light flickered. The air shifted, warmer, lighter. The whispers faded. When I opened my eyes, the woman was gone. The hallway was just a normal, grimy rest stop again. I stood there, panting, shaking, waiting for something else to happen. But there was nothing. Just silence. I stumbled outside into the night. My truck was still there, idling softly. And the sky, it looked normal again. Black and star-filled. I climbed into the cab, started the engine, and pulled back onto the highway. The GPS came back online. The map corrected itself. I was about 10 miles from the main interstate, right where I should have been. Everything felt fine. For the first time all night, I thought maybe it was over. 2 hours later, I stopped at a pilot station for fuel. As I filled the tank, I noticed something strange. My CB was on, even though I'd turned it off before getting out. The channel read 23. I reached in and turned the knob. It didn't change. The display stayed red dot, and then faintly through the static, I heard a voice. Mine. Breaker 19. You out here tonight, Dale? I froze dot. It was the same exact recording as before. The same tone, same words. But underneath it, this time, another voice overlapped. Hers. You stopped this time. The CB clicked off on its own. I didn't touch the radio again for the rest of that trip. Hell, I didn't even turn it on for weeks, but I started noticing something else. Other truckers talking about ghost channels. Late night chatter about a signal that hijacks your CB, even if it's unplugged. Some said it only happens to people who left someone behind on the road. One guy told me his buddy swore he heard a familiar voice calling his name through an empty channel. He said the display always reads the same, 23. I tried to laugh it off. Tried to forget. But deep down, I knew the truth. That channel wasn't interference. It wasn't a glitch dot. It was a frequency meant for people like me, the ones who didn't stop. A month later, I was on a night run through Illinois when the fog rolled in. Heavy, white, swallowing everything. I slowed down, straining to see the road dot, and then I saw it. A wreck. A small car flipped upside down on the shoulder, hazard lights still flashing weakly through the mist. For a long second, I couldn't move. My hands locked around the wheel, then faintly the CB hissed. Don't make the same mistake. My heart jumped. I looked at the channel number .23. This time. I stopped. I grabbed my flashlight, ran to the car, pulled the door open. A man inside, bloody, dazed, but alive. He looked up at me like he couldn't believe someone had actually stopped. Help's coming, I told him. He nodded weakly. Thought you'd keep going. I froze. What? He didn't answer. Just slumped back against the seat. When I glanced toward my truck, I thought I saw her standing beside it. That same pale figure, watching. But when I blinked, she was gone. The ambulance came. The guy lived. I gave my statement and went back to my rig, shaking. When I climbed inside, the CB flickered once, then turned itself on. The red glow was gone. It was just a normal channel now, -19. With truckers chatting about road conditions, I almost smiled. Then the speaker popped softly, a faint, familiar voice whispered through the static. Thank you. The radio clicked off. I haven't heard channel 23 since. But sometimes, late at night, when the road gets too quiet and the static hums just right, I catch the faintest echo in the background, my own voice. Miles away, calling out, Breaker 19. You out here tonight, Dale? And I always whisper the same thing back, just in case she's still listening. Yeah, I'm out here. I saw her the first time just after midnight. It was one of those drives where the fog rolls in low and thick, the kind that turns your headlights into white walls. I'd been on the road 14 hours, running caffeine and muscle memory. Exit 12 wasn't anything special. Just a narrow ramp off Highway 29 with a broken gas station, a boarded-up diner, and a flickering streetlight that looked like it was losing a fight with the dark. But that's where I saw her standing at the end of the exit ramp. Thumb out, wearing a red coat and holding a single duffel bag. Normally, I don't stop for hitchhikers. Too many bad stories, too many odd ones. But something about her looked wrong, not dangerous, not desperate. Just off. She wasn't moving, not waving, not stepping forward. Just standing there, perfectly still, staring straight ahead. As I slowed down, she turned her head, slow, smooth, and looked right at me. Even through the fog, I could see her face. Pale, calm. No expression. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I felt guilty about all the lonely nights I'd driven past people like her. Maybe I just wanted to hear another voice. I pulled over. She opened the door without saying a word and climbed in. She smelled like rain and cold air. Not perfume, more like the way wet concrete smells after a storm. Where you headed? I asked, trying to sound casual. Her voice was soft, barely a whisper. North. That was it. No town, no city. Just north. I nodded slowly. Well, I'm going up toward Fargo. That work for you? She didn't answer, just looked out the window. The fog swallowed the world as we drove. I kept glancing at her reflection in the glass, trying not to be obvious about it. But there was something strange about the way she sat. She didn't shift, didn't fidget, didn't even blink much. After a few miles, I noticed her duffel bag was wet, like it had been sitting in the rain for hours. A few drops dripped from the strap onto the rubber mat, dark and sticky. Rough night to be walking, I said. Where'd you come from? Exit 12, she said. I chuckled. Yeah, but before that? She turned her head slowly again, eyes catching the faint glow from the dash. I told you. Exit 12. Something in my gut twisted. I switched on the CB, hoping for some chatter to cut through the silence. A couple drivers were joking about bad fog up by the state line, and the background hiss filled the cab like white noise. The woman tilted her head toward it. They still use those? She asked quietly. I laughed nervously. Yeah, some of us old-timers still do. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I used to listen to them. When I was alive. The smile vanished the second the words left her mouth. She blinked once, then turned back to the window, as if she hadn't said anything at all. My hands tightened on the wheel. Did you just say? Fog's thick tonight, she interrupted. Hard to see what's ahead. I didn't respond. The CB crackled. Through the static, a faint, broken voice whispered, "Don't pick her up." My heart skipped. What was that? I said aloud, staring at the radio. The woman didn't move. Static, she said softly, but it hadn't been static. I knew that voice. It sounded like one of my friends from dispatch. But he'd been dead for 3 years. I cleared my throat. You, said you used to listen to CB? You drive before? No, she said. I used to wait. For what? Her voice dropped to a whisper. For someone to stop. The fog thickened, turning the world outside into a blur of gray. My headlights bounced off it uselessly, giving me only a few feet of visibility. Every instinct told me to turn around. To drop her off at the next exit, make an excuse, anything. But something about the way she sat there, calm, motionless, made it feel like she already knew what I was thinking. After a long stretch of silence, she spoke again. Do you believe in ghosts? I forced a chuckle. Not really. Too much road, too many stories. They all blend together. She smiled faintly. You should. I glanced over. Why's that? Because you're sitting next to one. My stomach dropped. I looked at her again, really looked, and realized her reflection in the passenger window wasn't moving anymore. Her body shifted. Her head tilted, but the reflection stayed frozen, staring straight ahead. I gripped the wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. Okay, I said, voice shaking a little. That's enough. You're messing with me, right? She didn't answer. The reflection slowly turned its head, not her. The reflection, and looked straight at me. Its mouth moved, forming words I couldn't hear. Then the fog outside swallowed everything. Road, sky, light, until it felt like we were driving through nothing. I slammed the brakes. The truck skidded, tires squealing, but when we stopped, the fog began to thin. The woman was gone. The passenger door hung open, swinging gently in the wind. Her duffel bag still sat on the seat, dripping. I stared at it for a long time before I finally reached over and unzipped it. Inside were clothes, folded neatly, and on top of them, a wallet. The ID photo was blurry from water damage, but the name was still legible. Anna Reeves. I froze. That name. I heard it before. It was the woman from the wreck years ago. the one I hadn't stopped for on that rainy July night. The one from CB Channel 23. The sound of footsteps echoed outside the cab. Slow, soft, crunching gravel. I turned toward the open door, and there she was, standing on the shoulder in her red coat, staring up at me. Her face was calm again, but her eyes, they looked empty. "I told you I was going north," she said. Then she started walking up the ramp, straight into the fog. And disappeared. I sat there for what felt like hours, the duffel bag dripping beside me. When I finally looked out the windshield, the fog had lifted completely. The exit sign read 12, but the gas station, the diner, everything was gone, just open highway and silence. I turned the truck around and drove until sunrise, trying to convince myself I'd fallen asleep at the wheel, but I couldn't shake that last thing she said. "I told you I was going north." I didn't tell anyone about what happened that night. Not dispatch, not the other drivers I met up with at the truck stop outside Duluth. Who was going to believe me, anyway? A ghost hitchhiker in a red coat who knew my name, who disappeared into fog and left behind a dripping duffel bag. It sounded like something out of one of those late-night CB stories old truckers tell the freak-out rookies. But I knew it had happened. I could still smell that rain-cold air she brought into the cab, still see the water pool beneath her bag. I kept the duffel in the back of my sleeper, sealed in a garbage bag. I couldn't bring myself to throw it away. A week passed. The runs were short ones, warehouse to warehouse, daylight only. But even during the day, I'd catch glimpses of red on the roadside. A sign, a tarp, sometimes just the corner of a coat vanishing behind the guardrail. Every time, my gut would tighten like a fist. And then the radio started acting up again. It began with small things. The CB would turn itself on, even when unplugged. Static bursts in the same rhythm as my heartbeat. Sometimes a single word breaking through the hiss. North. On the 7th night, I got another overnight haul. Dispatch said the route would be clear, just me, the road, and 300 miles of quiet highway. I almost said no. But something in me, guilt, maybe said I owed her that drive. I left around midnight. The fog rolled in before I hit the interstate. By the time I passed exit 12, the whole world looked drowned in gray. That's when I saw her again. She was walking along the shoulder. Same red coat, same duffel slung across her shoulder. My breath hitched. I didn't stop this time. I couldn't. My hands locked around the wheel and I pressed harder on the gas. But she didn't vanish. For a mile. 2 miles, she kept pace with me, walking just ahead of my headlights. Her shadow stretching across the road like it was tethered to me. Then the CB came alive. "Dale," the voice said softly. "Why didn't you stop?" I slammed my hand over the switch, but it didn't matter. The static only grew louder, almost musical, layered with whispering voices beneath it. "You took me north," the woman said through the radio. "But you never finished the road. What do you want from me?" I shouted. The fog outside swirled, thickening until I couldn't see the lines on the asphalt. My hands trembled as I eased off the accelerator. The CB hissed again, and her voice came through, calm and close. "Exit ahead." There shouldn't have been an exit for another 10 miles. But sure enough, a green sign glowed faintly through the fog. "Exit 12, North Accessi, driven this stretch for 20 years. That sign didn't exist. The steering wheel pulled slightly to the right, like something was guiding it. I fought it, but the truck drifted onto the off-ramp anyway, engine growling like it hated the road itself. The ramp curved downward into a tunnel of fog and dead trees. No lights, no sounds. Just the low rumble of the truck and the whisper of rain beginning to fall. At the bottom of the ramp stood an old wooden sign, half rotted. I stopped just long enough to read the faded letters. "Rest area, closed since 1997. The gate was gone, but tire marks led inside." "Come on, Dale," her voice whispered. "You owe me this much." My hands were shaking so hard I could barely grip the gear shift. I said I was sorry, I muttered. I stopped this time. I helped that man. You didn't stop for me. I followed the road a little farther. The fog lifted just enough for me to see the outline of an old rest-stop concrete building, overgrown picnic tables. A single light flickering above the door, my CB glowed red. Channel 23. I killed the engine and stepped out. The air was ice cold, heavy with the smell of wet earth. My flashlight beam cut through the mist, just enough to show me the building's door, hanging open. Something dripped steadily from the roof tap. Tap, tap like rain on metal. I took one step forward, and then I heard her voice, not through the radio this time, but behind me. You shouldn't have left me on the road. I spun around. She stood at the end of the parking lot, coat plastered to her body, water streaming from her hair. Her skin looked gray under the light, eyes black and glassy. The duffel hung limp from her hand. Anna, I whispered. You remember my name. I'm sorry. She smiled faintly, but it wasn't kind. I waited for you. Everyone else drove by. But you looked right at me, Dale. You saw me die. I shook my head. I didn't. You did. Her voice cracked like thunder. You left me there. The fog exploded around her, swirling fast, pulling in shadows from every direction. Behind her, more figures began to take shape, silhouettes walking out of the mist. Some limping, some crawling, all drenched. Each one held something small that glowed red. CBMICS. Their voices layered together. A chorus of static and words that didn't belong to the living. Exit 12. Stop for us. You kept going. I stumbled backward, hitting the side of my truck. The metal was freezing. My breath came out in ragged clouds. Anna stepped closer, reaching for me. Her hand left black water stains on the truck door. Trade me, she whispered. My vision blurred. The air thickened, heavy and wet, the sound of rain roaring, even though no drops touched the ground. Then the CB inside my cab sparked to life on its own. My own voice came through it, panicked, gasping, "Don't get out of the truck." I looked up. Anna froze mid-step. Her head tilted like she was hearing it too. The chorus of whispers behind her stuttered, glitching in and out like bad radio. I didn't think. I just jumped back into the cab, slammed the door, and turned the key. The truck roared alive. The CB's red glow turned white. Through the windshield, I saw Anna standing in front of the truck, one hand raised. Her eyes met mine, and for a moment, she didn't look angry. She looked tired. I hit the gas. The truck lurched forward, and the world around me folded. The fog vanished. The rest stop blinked out of existence. And suddenly I was back on the main highway, tires humming on smooth asphalt. Moonlight breaking through clear skies. No fog. No ramp. The clock on the dash read 12:01 a.m., 1 minute past when I'd first seen her. Pulled over and sat there until sunrise. When I finally checked the passenger seat, the duffel bag was gone, only a small, wet handprint remained on the window. That was 2 years ago. Since then, I've avoided exit 12 completely. I even told dispatch to reroute me south whenever possible. But sometimes, late at night, when the fog creeps in over the road, I still hear the faint crackle of static over my CB. A woman's voice, soft and distant, saying the same 2 words, exit 12. And once in a while, just once, I catch a flash of red in my mirror, standing by the side of the road. Waiting. By the time I saw the sign for Reading, I'd been driving for 16 straight hours. No rest, no real food, just coffee, diesel, and annoying ache between my shoulders that made every mile feel heavier. The map didn't show it. I checked twice on my GPS, then on the old paper atlas I keep wedged beside the seat. Nothing. No Reading. No detour, no service road. But there it was, Reading, 12 miles. Printed in faded green letters like it had been there for decades. I figured it had to be a trucker town. Maybe one of those old Midwest stops that never made it online. A place where I could grab a meal and shut my eyes for a few hours before heading north. So I took the turnoff. The road was narrow, barely wide enough for the rig. My headlights swept across endless cornfields on both sides, tall, dry stalks rattling in the wind like bones. The deeper I drove, the quieter it got. No birds. No distant engines. Not even crickets. Just that dry whisper of stalks brushing against each other. After about 10 minutes, I passed another sign, Reading -3 miles. Population 482. That's when my CB crackled. Driver, you headed down 14? A voice asked. I froze. The channel was one I hadn't touched all day. Yeah, I said slowly. Who's this? Static hissed. Then, don't stop. Before I could respond, the channel went dead. The road curved through the fields, then dipped into a small valley. That's when I saw the first light, an amber glow hanging in the fog. As I rolled closer, more lights appeared. Street lamps, old and crooked. Faded houses lined the street porches, leaning, paint peeling, windows dark. There were cars parked along the road, but every one of them looked decades old. A 70s Ford with vines growing through the grill. A rusted station wagon half sunk into the dirt. The only sound was my engine idling low. I stopped at what looked like a main intersection. There was a diner on one corner, a gas station on the other. The lights were on in both. And yet, there wasn't a single person in sight. I decided to try the diner first. The sign read Maggie's Cafe, letters flickering. Inside, it was warm, but the air was still too still, like it hadn't moved in years. Every table was set. Plates, silverware, even coffee cups, but the coffee was cold. I called out, "Hello?" No answer. There was a faint buzzing sound coming from the kitchen, like a fluorescent light struggling to stay alive. When I walked around the counter, I saw something that stopped me cold. The grill was still hot. Steam rose from a frying pan where bacon had burned to ash. Someone had been here. Recently. I went back outside. The fog had thickened, swallowing the far end of the street. My truck sat at the curb, the headlights cutting 2 white tunnels through the mist. Across the street, the gas station light flickered. Inside, I saw movement. A man, thin, wearing a trucker's jacket, stood by the counter. He was looking straight at me. I started toward him. He didn't move. But as I got closer, I realized something was wrong. His face wasn't quite right. Like it was blurred, not out of focus, but smudged, like someone had dragged a thumb across a wet painting. I stopped halfway across the street. "Hey," I shouted. "You good in there?" He lifted his hand and pointed toward the diner. Then his mouth moved slow, mechanical, but no sound came out. The lights flickered once, and when they came back on, he was gone. My pulse was racing. I turned back toward the diner, and that's when I noticed something else. My truck's headlights were off. I hadn't touched them. Then, faintly, I saw a figure sitting in the driver's seat. A silhouette. Just sitting there, perfectly still. "Hey," I yelled, running forward. "Get out of my truck." But when I yanked open the door, the cab was empty. The air inside was freezing. Colder than outside. My breath fogged up the glass. I stood there, trying to steady myself, telling my brain it was exhaustion. Nothing more. Then the CB crackled again. "Driver, you shouldn't have stopped." That voice again, male, calm, but hollow. "Who is this?" I barked into the mic. No response. Just static, and underneath it, a faint whisper. "Redding's gone." The lights in the diner across the street began to dim, one by one, until the building was swallowed by black. The fog pressed closer, thick and heavy, until I could barely see the road in front of me. I climbed back into the cab and threw it in gear. Heart pounding, I needed to get out. The road back out of town was gone, where the street had been. There was now only a wall of fog and corn. I drove forward anyway, tires crunching gravel, praying the road would reappear, but the more I drove, the less sense it made. The street kept looping past the same diner, the same gas station, over and over. The odometer ticked upward. My clock read 2:37 a.m. every time I passed Maggie's Cafe. I could swear the lights inside had shifted. One time, a chair was missing. Another, the napkins were stacked differently. By the fifth loop, there was someone standing at the counter. A woman. She was watching me through the glass. I stopped, rolled down the window. The air smelled of burnt grease and wet metal. She lifted her hand slowly and pointed behind me. Turned in my seat, nothing but fog. When I looked back at her, she was gone. But something had changed. The sign above the diner now read, Maggie's Diner, since 1967. Earlier, it had said Maggie's Cafe, since 1983. I didn't know what that meant, but my gut told me to leave. I hit the gas again and drove straight ahead, even though I knew it would just loop me back. But this time, the diner didn't reappear. The fog opened into a long, straight road bordered by dead trees. At the end of it, a single light flickered in the distance. As I got closer, I realized it wasn't a light, it was a neon sign. Reading Motel Vacancy. I laughed a broken sound. Sure, why not? The parking lot was empty except for a single pickup, covered in dust thick enough to write on. The office door creaked open as I stepped inside. Behind the counter sat an old man, in a flannel shirt, staring at a black and white TV that was just static. You got a room? I asked, trying to sound normal. He looked up slowly. His eyes were pale, almost milky. Room 5's open, he said. You'll want to stay off the road till morning. I hesitated. What road? He smiled faintly. Whichever one brought you here. My stomach turned. He slid a key across the counter. It was cold and damp to the touch. As I turned to leave, I noticed the TV flicker through the static. I caught a glimpse of a familiar image, my truck, parked outside the diner. Then the picture distorted, melting into gray snow again. I looked back at the old man, but he was staring blankly, mouth slightly open, as if frozen mid-breath. Room 5 was at the far end of the building. The walls were yellowed, the carpet damp. The air smelled faintly of mold and old tobacco. I locked the door and sat on the bed. That's when I saw it, etched faintly into the bedside table. Don't sleep. Below it, someone had carved another message, shakier and deeper. If you dream, you stay. My throat went dry. I backed toward the door, ready to leave, when I noticed movement in the bathroom mirror. My reflection wasn't moving with me. It smiled. I stumbled back, nearly tripping over the bed. The mirror me tilted its head, eyes glinting faintly in the dim light. Then its mouth moved, slow and deliberate. Welcome to Reading. The room went dark. And the sound of the diner bell echoed faintly outside. Ding, 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 as if someone had just walked through its door. When the lights went out, I thought the power had just cut off. But then I realized the darkness wasn't natural. It wasn't black, it was thick, like the air itself had turned solid. I couldn't even see the glow from my phone. And then the whispering started. Low, layered voices. Hundreds of them. Too close. Too real. They came from inside the walls, beneath the floor, behind the mirror. I pressed my hands over my ears, but I could still hear them. Not through sound, through vibration. Through bone. Stay, they said. Stay with us. My first instinct was to run. But when I grabbed the doorknob, it burned my hand. Metal hot enough to blister. The whispering stopped, and the room grew silent again until the bathroom light flicked on by itself. The mirror was glowing faintly, showing the reflection of the bed behind me. Only in the reflection, someone was sitting on it. A man, dressed in a flannel shirt, the same old man from the motel office, turned slowly. The bed was empty, but his reflection stayed there, unmoving, his face expressionless. Then in the mirror, his head lifted. His mouth opened wider and wider until it didn't look human anymore. The light in the bathroom burst, showering sparks, and the reflection stepped out. Not through the glass out. The air rippled around him like water. His features weren't clear anymore, just smears of shadow and static, shifting constantly like a bad TV signal. He whispered something I couldn't make out, but I heard one word clearly: trade. I bolted. The doorknob was still scorching, but I didn't care. I yanked it open and ran into the night. Outside, the motel was gone. Just empty lots and fields stretching forever under a sky with no stars. My truck was still there, though parked right where I'd left it. Headlights on, engine idling. I sprinted for it, breath burning, gravel cutting into my palms when I stumbled. When I climbed into the cab, the warmth felt wrong, like the heater had been running too long, and the CB was already on channel 19 static. Then a woman's voice came through. Soft and clear, "You can't leave, Dale." My heart dropped. Who is this? I snapped. How do you know my name? No answer. Just the faint hum of the engine and the rhythmic pulse of static behind her voice. "Redding doesn't like visitors," she said finally. "You should have kept driving." I shifted the truck into reverse, tires spinning on gravel, but when I looked in the side mirror, my reflection wasn't there. The seat was empty. I slammed the gas, tires squealing. The truck lurching forward onto the dark highway. The neon Redding motel sign flashed once behind me, then blinked out completely. For 10 miles, I didn't see another light. Just the ribbon of road ahead, stretching into nothing. I told myself I was clear, that maybe it had been a dream brought on by exhaustion and bad coffee. But when I checked the GPS, my stomach turned. The screen showed only one word, repeated over and over: Redding, Redding. The map wasn't updating. The road wasn't real anymore. The fog came back all at once, rolling over the hood like ocean waves. And then, faintly through it, I saw headlights ahead. A truck. Big, boxy, older model, chrome bumper, faded blue paint. It was me. My truck. Same plates, same stickers, same dent on the fender, but someone else was driving it. I leaned forward, heart hammering, and saw him clearly under the fog-dimmed lights. It was me. My double's eyes met mine for just a second through the windshield as he passed. He smiled, and then the radio burst alive again. "Made it out yet?" His voice asked, calm and familiar. I didn't respond. The CB clicked again. "Don't worry," he said. "You'll get used to it." They all do. The fog behind me thickened until I couldn't see where he'd gone. I floored the gas, trying to outrun whatever the hell was happening. But every mile marker I passed read the same thing: Redding 1 mile. No matter how far I drove, I must have blacked out at some point. When I opened my eyes, the sun was rising, clear sky, empty road. I checked my mirrors. My face looked normal. My hands were shaking, but I was me, for the first time in hours. I thought maybe I'd finally escaped, until I noticed the gas gauge full. I'd burned half a tank the night before. That's when I looked up and saw the sign on the side of the road: Redding, 12 miles. I screamed, slammed the wheel, hit the brakes, nearly jackknifed the trailer, but the sign didn't change. And then I heard the diner bell again, faint but unmistakable. Ding, ding, ding. I stepped out of the cab shaking, clutching my phone. No signal. The cornfields rustled faintly in the morning breeze. Then, from somewhere deep inside them, came a sound like distant laughter. Children. I turned toward the noise. It was coming from a narrow dirt path between the rows of corn. I knew better than to follow it. I knew, but something about that laughter, it didn't sound cruel. It sounded familiar, like my daughter. Like the voicemail she'd left me last week before I hit the road. "Love you. Dad, come home safe." My throat tightened. My legs moved on their own. I followed the path. The laughter grew louder, then stopped. The corn parted suddenly, and I stepped into a clearing. There it was, Redding, but not the same one. The town looked new. Fresh paint, clean streets. Sunlight bouncing off spotless windows. People walked the sidewalks, families, workers. Kids playing with chalk. Everyone smiling. A church bell rang in the distance. For a second, I felt peace, until I saw the diner sign, Maggie's Cafe. Since 22.5. The current year. I backed away, shaking my head. No. A woman stepped out of the cafe. She looked just like the reflection I'd seen before. Same smile, same calm eyes. "Morning," she said, wiping her hands on her apron. "You made it back." "I'm leaving," I said. "I'm done with this." She tilted her head. "Oh, Dale, you already did." Behind her, in the window, I saw the reflection again. The diner was empty. No people. No light. Just a shadow sitting in the corner booth. My shadow. It turned and smiled. The woman walked closer. "You don't remember, do you?" I stepped back, breath ragged. "Remember what?" She nodded toward my truck, parked by the curb. It was covered in dirt and rust. Windows broken. Tires deflated, like it had been sitting there for decades. "You crashed outside town last year," she said gently. "You never left." I laughed, but it broke halfway through. "You're lying." She smiled sadly. "Everyone says that." The church bell rang again. The people around us stopped moving. Mid-step, mid-laugh, mid-breath. Frozen, like statues. The woman's eyes went dark, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Don't fight it, Dale. There's room for one more." The ground shuddered beneath me. The buildings began to blur, melting into fog again. I ran. The corn closed in behind me, tighter and tighter, until the stalk scraped my arms and face. The laughter returned louder, echoing all around me now. I burst through the last row of corn and nearly collapsed onto the highway. The fog was gone. Sunlight, clear sky. The sign behind me read, "Exit 14, North Access." My GPS came back to life. Real road, real map. I was out, but when I looked down at my hands, they were covered in soot. And on my palm, faintly burned into the skin, was a single word: Redding. I haven't taken that route since. Sometimes, though, on the long drives, I'll scan through CB channels just to fill the silence. And every now and then, on Channel 19, I hear a faint voice calling out through the static, "Welcome to Redding. Population, one more." It started with the CB. Not all at once, just a little static one night outside Nebraska. The kind that flickers in and out like the sky's breathing. But the thing is, I know my rig. I know the sound of every hiss, click, and hum. This was different. It didn't sound random. It sounded like words. At first, I thought it was bleed through another driver on a nearby channel. But the road was empty. I hadn't seen another truck for hours. I was hauling late. That week graveyard runs through the flatlands. The kind of drives where time folds in on itself, and the darkness starts whispering things your brain's too tired to filter out. Around 2:15 a.m., I picked up the mic, just to test it. "Breaker 19, anyone copy?" Nothing. Just the soft rhythm of static, like breathing through cloth. Then, faintly, almost too faint to hear, someone whispered, "Don't stop." I froze. "Say again?" I asked, gripping the mic tighter. The line went dead. The next night, it happened again. Same time, same stretch of road. Only this time, the voice came clearer. "Keep driving, Dale." My blood went cold. No one should have known my name. "Who is this?" I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Silenced. Then, a faint chuckle. Low, wet. The kind of sound that sticks to your spine. Switched off the radio, but even after it powered down, I could still hear the static, soft, muffled. like it was coming from inside the cab. I stopped at a truck stop just outside Sioux City and told the mechanic about it. He shrugged. Old CBS pick up weird signals sometimes. You'd be surprised what bounces through the air out here. Yeah, I said. But voices don't tell you to keep driving. He gave me a look that said he thought I needed sleep more than a repair. Maybe he was right, so I grabbed a burger, filled up on gas, and hit the road again. I kept the CB off this time, or at least I thought I did. Around 3 a.m. the static came back louder than before. Dale, it whispered. You shouldn't have stopped. I nearly drove off the shoulder. I looked at the dash. The CB light was still off. Power dead. But the sound was coming through anyway. Who are you? I yelled, half to the radio, half to the dark. For a few seconds, the line went silent. Then a new voice came through, a woman's, soft and trembling. Please. If you can hear me, don't listen to it. I sat there frozen. One hand on the wheel, the other on the mic that wasn't even on. The woman's voice was faint, buried under static. It's not, she started to say. But the signal cut out with a sharp pop. Then the first voice returned. You shouldn't have stopped. It repeated. And beneath that, I could swear I heard breathing, slow, rhythmic, like it was coming from right behind me. I turned the mirror down. Nothing there. Just the empty dark of my sleeper. Curtains half drawn, jacket hanging like a shadow on the wall. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was sitting back there, watching. By sunrise, I was shaking. Hands cramped from gripping the wheel too hard. Eyes burning from staying open too long. Pulled into a rest stop and killed the engine. The silence hit me like a wave. It was peaceful, too peaceful. Then, faintly, I heard it again. Static. Coming from outside the truck this time. I climbed down, scanning the lot. Just a few parked semis, their engines cooling. The sound was coming from the far end of the lot, near the dumpsters. I followed it, step by step. There was an old CB unit sitting on the ground. No truck near it, no wires, just the box half cracked, covered in dirt, and it was on. The speaker hissed softly as I crouched down. Then, clear as day, it spoke. You're next. I stumbled backward, tripping over my boots. When I looked up, a man was standing a few feet away. He was wearing a reflective vest and a trucker's cap, face hidden by the shadow of the bill. You okay there, friend? He asked. Yeah, I said, heart still racing. Just thought I heard something. He smiled faintly. CB ghosts. Happens out here more than you'd think. Then he turned and walked toward his rig, a dark red Peterbilt with no visible plates. I watched him climb in, engine growling to life. As he pulled out, his headlights flashed across the dumpster, and the CB radio was gone. That night, I stayed at a motel just to be safe. No truck, no CB, no noise. I turned on the TV for background sound, but all the channels were static, every single one. I turned the set off. That's when I realized the static hadn't stopped. It had just moved. The bathroom vent was humming. I stepped closer, listening. Faintly, beneath the whine of the fan, a voice whispered, "Keep driving, Dale." I didn't sleep. At dawn, I checked out and hit the road without breakfast. My hands trembled as I started the truck. The air inside felt heavy, like something thick and invisible was sitting in the passenger seat. I told myself it was just fatigue, but then the CB light flickered on by itself. Channel 23, the one no one uses anymore. I tried to switch it off, but the knob snapped under my hand, and through the speaker came the sound of breathing. Again. Slow, steady. Then the woman's voice, weak but urgent. You have to stop before it finds you. I grabbed the mic. Who are you? Silence, then faintly, mile marker 73, please hurry. The CB cut off, and I was left with nothing but road and fog ahead. I checked the GPS. I was at mile 67.6 miles to go. I didn't know what I was expecting. Another trucker, maybe. Someone trapped in the same nightmare. I couldn't ignore that voice. It sounded too real. Too scared. The fog thickened. My high beams barely reached past the hood. Every instinct screamed at me to turn back. But I kept going. At mile 73, I saw her. A woman standing on the shoulder, waving both arms. I slammed the brakes, gravel spraying, and jumped out. "Hey," I called, "you okay?" She looked terrified, shaking her head fast. "You shouldn't have come," she said. "It knows you now." Before I could ask what she meant, the CB inside my truck crackled to life again, loud this time, violent. Through the noise, I heard a voice like gravel scraping metal. Too late. The woman's eyes went wide, and the headlights flickered out. Everything went black. No headlights, no dashboard glow, not even the faint hum of the engine. Just the dark pressing in on every side like it had weight. The woman grabbed my arm. Her fingers were freezing, nails biting into my skin. "It's here," she whispered. "Don't move. Don't say anything." Something crackled through the fog, a low electric hum, like a radio trying to tune itself. Then a voice, deep and broken, came through the night. "Dale, where you going?" My breath caught in my throat. That voice, it sounded like me. The woman tightened her grip. "It mimics," she said, voice trembling. "That's how it finds you. What is it?" I whispered back. She didn't answer, just stared into the darkness beyond the truck, eyes wide. I turned slowly toward the sound. The fog was shifting, twisting like something was moving inside it. And then I saw it. A shape, human-sized, crawling out of the mist on hands and feet. It moved wrong, like it didn't know how joints were supposed to work. Every few seconds, it stopped and tilted its head as if listening. Then it said, perfectly calm, "You shouldn't have stopped." "Dale." The woman backed away, pulling me with her. "We have to go," she hissed. "Now." We stumbled toward the truck, but the fog thickened again, cutting off the world around us. The air was so dense it burned to breathe. Something brushed past my leg, soft, wet. I flinched, kicking back at empty air. Then the voice came again, this time right behind my ear. "Don't stop." I spun around, swinging the flashlight wildly. The beam caught the edge of a face for half a second, my face, before it vanished back into the mist. I dropped the light. We climbed into the cab, slamming the doors shut. I hit the ignition. Nothing. The key turned, but the engine just clicked, dead. Then the CB flicked on by itself, the speaker bursting to life with a screech of static. Through the noise, the woman's voice came again, clearer this time, though she was sitting right beside me. "Dale," the CB said, "you have to stop before it finds you." I looked at her. She stared at the radio, shaking her head slowly. "That's not me." The voice on the CB kept talking, same tone, same cadence. "It only speaks in echoes," she said quietly. "Once it learns your voice, it doesn't need you anymore." The static swelled, then cut to silence. The cab filled with that heavy stillness again. Then, faintly from outside the truck, we heard it. Footsteps. Soft at first, then closer, each one landing perfectly in rhythm with my heartbeat. I reached for the gear shift out of instinct, though I knew the engine was dead. The woman put a hand on my wrist. "Don't look," she whispered. "If you see it, it knows." Too late. Something moved past the windshield. It was me. Not a reflection, not a trick of light. It was me. Same clothes, same face, same trembling hands gripping the air like a phantom steering wheel. He turned toward me and smiled. "Keep driving," he said in my voice. Then his mouth opened, wider, too wide, and the sound of static poured out of him like wind through broken glass. The truck lights flickered, then came back on full blast. And when I blinked, he was gone. The woman was sobbing quietly beside me. "It marks you," she whispered. "Once it speaks with your voice, you can't leave the road." I forced the ignition again, this time. The truck roared to life. The CB immediately lit up channel 23 again, and through the hiss, I heard that same deep version of my voice laughing. "Drive. Dale, let's go for a ride." The woman screamed. "Don't listen." I slammed the gear shift forward and floored the gas. The tires squealed against the pavement. The truck lurching down the highway. The fog chased us. No, followed us like it had shape and hunger. I didn't care about the road anymore. I just drove for miles. The CB stayed silent. The woman sat hunched against the window, staring into the dark, whispering something under her breath that sounded like a prayer. When I finally looked at her, she was gone. Just gone. No door sound, no movement. 1 second there, the next. Empty air. The passenger seat was wet. The CB light blinked once, then twice. "Almost there," my voice said softly. The road straightened out ahead, cutting through a line of dead trees. Then, in the distance, I saw lights. Dozens of trucks, parked along the roadside, engines idling. Relief flooded through me. Other drivers. I wasn't alone. I pulled up to the shoulder, rolled down the window. "Hey," I shouted. "Anyone copy?" No response. Then I noticed the trucks weren't moving. Engines humming, headlights on. But no one in the driver's seats. Every cab was empty. I stepped out of mine. The air cold enough to sting. The static buzzed faintly all around, bleeding from every open window of the idling trucks. Then, I realized they were all tuned to the same channel, 23. And all of them were playing the same sound. Breathing. Mine. I backed up slowly, chest tightening. One of the radios crackled louder than the rest. "You can't stop, Dale," the voice said. They didn't. The truck next to me revved its engine. Then another. And another. Within seconds, every rig in the row came alive. Headlights flaring like white fire, all pointing straight at me. I ran, didn't think. Didn't look back. The noise built behind me, horns blaring, engines roaring, radios screaming my name. "Dale! Dale!" I stumbled into the ditch, rolled through the grass, scraped up my arms. When I looked back at the road, the lights were gone. Every truck, every sound, just black highway stretching into the night, and my own rig idling quietly where I'd left it. Door open, CB lights still blinking. I climbed in, shaking. The radio was quiet now, just faint static. For a long minute, I just sat there, breathing. Then a new voice came through. A man's, calm. "Breaker 19, anyone copy?" My throat tightened. "Yeah," I said finally, pressing the button. "I copy." Static. Then, "Just checking. You ever hear of something called Channel 23? My heart stopped. "Why?" I asked. The voice chuckled softly. "Picked up something weird a few miles back. Thought I heard someone whisper my name." I didn't answer. He spoke again, still casual. Said something like, "Don't stop." The CB hissed, and through it, my own voice whispered one last time, "Keep driving." I hit the patch just outside of Eau Claire. You don't forget that sound. The hiss before the slide. The way your tires lose their grip, like the road suddenly decides it doesn't want you anymore. The trailer fishtailed. The wheels spun useless in my hands, and before I could even curse, the rig twisted sideways and slammed into the guardrail hard enough to make my teeth rattle. Everything went white for a second. Snow, headlights, airbag dust. Then silence, just me, breathing, and the faint, strange sound of someone knocking on the outside of my cab. At first, I thought it was my imagination. Maybe ice shifting, metal settling. But the knock came again. 3 sharp taps, slow and deliberate, right beside my door. "Hey," I yelled, voice cracking. "Anyone out there?" No answer. I reached for my flashlight and leaned toward the window. All I saw was snow swirling in the beams of my hazard lights, and a dark shape standing a few feet away, a man. Or what I thought was a man. He wasn't moving, just standing there, watching. I cracked the door open an inch, cold air slapping me in the face. "You okay?" I called out. The shape tilted its head a little, like it was curious. Then it stepped forward into the light. He was wearing an old snow parka, face hidden behind a frosted hood. The reflective strips were dull, almost gray. He didn't speak, just kept coming until he was right up against the door. And that's when I saw his hands, bare, blue-white, skin cracked open from cold. "Buddy," I said, trying to stay calm. "You hurt?" He just stared, then raised one hand and pointed behind me. I turned my flashlight toward the trailer. Something dark was dripping from the side, thick, sluggish, melting through the snow like oil. But it wasn't oil. It was red. I jumped out, boots sinking into the slush. The air was bitter, burning my lungs. I walked around the trailer, heart hammering. When I got to the back, I froze. There were handprints smeared across the door. Not painted, not mud-blood, and not frozen either. Still wet. I spun around, ready to shout for the guy, but he was gone. No footprints leading away. No movement in the snow. Just empty road. The only sound was the steady drip, drip, drip from the trailer door. That's when I noticed the temperature had dropped even lower. My breath came out like fog in a freezer. The wind had died completely, and for a long second, I couldn't hear anything, not even my own heartbeat. Then the CB cracked to life. "Dale," a voice whispered. I jumped. I hadn't touched the mic since the crash. "Hello," I said, gripping it tight. "You hit the ice," the voice said, calm and distant. "Who is this? You shouldn't have stopped." My stomach turned to stone. That phrase again. I slammed the radio off and climbed back into the cab, slamming the door shut. Inside, it was pitch black except for the blink of my hazard lights. The heater was still running, but the air was ice-cold. And in the side mirror, through the red pulse of the light, I saw him again, standing behind the trailer. Watching. I threw the truck into gear, but the tires just spun uselessly. I could feel the vibration through the wheel, the helpless grind of rubber on slick ice. The figure started walking toward me again, one step at a time. Head down, I laid on the horn, engine roaring. "Get back!" He didn't stop. I reached for my phone, no signal. Just the same frozen SOS in the corner of the screen. By the time I looked up again, he was gone. For the next hour, I sat there waiting for a tow, engine idling, eyes glued to the mirrors. Every few minutes, I thought I saw something move at the edge of the headlights, a flash of pale skin, a flicker of shadow, but nothing stayed long enough to be real. Finally, a voice came over the CB again, this time clearer. "Normal, breaker 19, this is highway recovery. We got a ping from your transponder. You all right out there, driver?" I grabbed the mic like it was a lifeline. "Yeah, thank God." I spun out near mile marker 241. Trailer's banged up. "Think I hit something." "Copy that." "Sit tight, we're about 20 minutes out." 20 minutes felt like forever. I kept the engine running and my eyes on the mirrors. Snow started falling again, thick, heavy flakes that made the world shrink down to the glow of my headlights. Every sound seemed amplified, the hum of the motor, the creak of the cab, the whisper of snow against glass. Then, faintly under all that, I heard something else, a scraping, coming from the back of the truck. Turned off the heater to listen. Scrape, scrape, like fingernails dragging slowly across metal. I opened the door, stepped down into the snow again. The wind hit me like a wall, except it wasn't blowing from anywhere. It felt like it was circling me, pulling inward. The scrape came again. Louder, I followed the sound to the rear of the trailer. The blood had frozen now. dark and glossy, but someone or something had been writing in it. The letters were shaky, uneven, but I could read them. Turn around. For a second, I just stood there, my flashlight beam trembling. Then I heard the crunch of footsteps behind me. I spun around. Light flashing across the road. A man stood in the snow about 20 feet away. Not the one from before. This one was in a yellow parka, face hidden behind a scarf. He raised a hand slowly. "Don't come closer," I shouted. He didn't. He just pointed behind me. Same as the first one. My stomach dropped, turned back to the trailer, and froze. There was someone standing on top of it. The figure crouched low, its silhouette outlined by the headlights. I couldn't see a face, just the dripping shape of it. Black against white snow. The man in the yellow parka turned and started running down the highway, boots slipping on the ice. I wanted to follow, but I couldn't move. The thing on the trailer straightened slowly, head tilting toward me. Then it dropped to the ground with a sound like breaking bones. I ran, didn't even think, just sprinted toward the cab. Slipped, scrambled, slammed the door behind me. The impact shook the truck. I didn't look outside, didn't breathe. 5 minutes later, headlights appeared in the mirror, a tow truck. I nearly cried. The driver, a heavy-set guy in a red beanie, leaned out and waved. "Hell of a night, huh?" he called. I forced a laugh. "You have no idea." He hooked up the trailer while I stayed in the cab, watching him through the window. At one point, he bent down behind the rig, shining his flashlight. He froze. Then he looked up at me, face pale. "What were you hauling, exactly?" "Paper goods," I said. "Why?" He didn't answer. Just stood there staring at the back of the trailer. Then slowly, he pointed. I turned on my rear camera feed for a split second before it glitched. I saw what he saw. A line of handprints, hundreds of them, pressed into the metal. All facing inward. The tow driver didn't say much after that. He finished hooking up the rig, motioned for me to follow in his cab, and we started the slow crawl down the dark, frozen highway. The storm had gotten worse. Snow fell sideways, thick flakes slashing across the windshield. And every now and then I'd catch flashes of movement in the corners of my eyes, like figures standing just beyond the beam of the headlights. Tried not to look. The driver finally broke the silence. "You're lucky," he said. "Black ice takes more truckers than jackknives do. Seen one guy hit the same patch you did a few winters back. Never found his body." I forced a small laugh. "Not supposed to make me feel better?" He smirked, but didn't answer. For a few miles, the only sound was the wiper blades slapping in rhythm with the engine's hum. Then, from the back seat, I heard it soft and slow. Tap. Tap. At first, I thought it was just ice sliding loose from the roof. But the driver heard it too. He turned down the radio. We listened. 3 taps again, in perfect rhythm. He frowned. "You bring someone with you?" I shook my head. The tapping came again, closer now. Then stopped. The driver grunted, reached for his flashlight. Probably a damn branch caught on the back window. He leaned over his shoulder to check. His face drained of color. "What?" I asked. He didn't answer. He just whispered, "There's someone back there." I twisted in my seat. Through the fogged rear glass, I caught a faint outline. A hand, pressed flat against the window from the inside. "Stop the truck," I said. The driver shook his head. "Hell no. Stop the truck." He didn't even get the chance. The back window shattered inward, spraying glass across the cab. Something pale lunged through the opening, a shape, a shadow, cold air flooding in with it. I screamed. The driver slammed the brakes. The truck fishtailed, tires squealing against the ice. We hit the ditch hard enough to knock the wind out of me. When I opened my eyes, everything was quiet again. The headlights shone across the snowbank, steam rising from the bent hood. The driver was slumped over the wheel, breathing shallowly, blood trickling down his temple. I looked toward the broken window. Nothing there. Just the wind. Until I heard that sound again. Tap, tap. Tap right beside my ear. I turned. Handprint was slowly forming on the inside of my window, but there was no hand attached to it, just the impression of one. Pressing outward from the frost, I bolted out of the truck. Boots crunching on the ice. The snow had stopped, but the air felt wrong, too still, too thick, like the world had stopped breathing. Behind me, the tow truck's engine sputtered and died. Then the CB inside my own rig, still strapped to the trailer behind us, crackled to life. Dale. That same voice again. Cold and hollow. Road slick tonight. I took a step back. What do you want? I shouted into the storm. Static hissed. Then faintly, trade you. The trailer door creaked open. I swear to God I hadn't touched it. It swung wide. Groaning against the wind, inside the shadows moved slow and thick, like water. Then I saw them. Dozens of faces pressing against the inside walls, their features warped and pale beneath a thin sheet of frost. Eyes wide, mouths open, frozen mid-scream. The handprints I'd seen earlier began to shift, moving from inside the metal outward. I stumbled backward, fell to my knees. A figure stepped out of the trailer. Not the man from before. Me. He was identical. Same jacket, same torn jeans, even the same cut above my eyebrow. But his skin was gray, lips cracked from cold. Frost clung to his beard, and when he spoke, his voice came out doubled mine and the statics woven together. You hit the ice, he said. No, I whispered. This isn't real. He smiled. Everything that freezes remembers. He stepped closer, boots leaving no prints in the snow. I backed away until my shoulders hit the tow truck's door. He leaned in, eyes black and glassy. You left them behind, he said softly. They waited. Suddenly, the woman's voice, the one from the CB, broke through the air, faint but urgent. Get in the truck, Dale. Drive. Don't stop. I hesitated. My double turned his head toward the sound, expression twisting. Too late, he said. I didn't wait. I jumped into the cab, slammed the door, and hit the ignition. The truck roared to life. The moment I threw it into gear, the ice beneath us cracked like thunder. I didn't look back. I just drove. The trailer groaned behind me, metal shrieking, but I didn't care. The rearview mirror was filled with shadows, figures crawling out of the wreckage, dragging themselves across the road. The CB blared again, faster. I floored it. The road ahead shimmered with black ice, but I didn't care. I was past fear now, past reason. All I wanted was distance. But the farther I drove, the stranger the highway looked. The mile markers were wrong, jumping backward instead of forward. I passed mile 240, then 239, then 238, until finally the sign ahead read 241. The same place I'd crashed. Slammed the brakes. The road behind me was gone, just endless, empty snow. The CB whispered again. You hit the ice. I didn't mean to, I said out loud, shaking. I didn't mean to. Everyone says that, it replied. Then, in the corner of the windshield, frost began to spread fast, spider webbing across the glass from the inside. I tried the door handle. It wouldn't budge. The temperature dropped so quickly, my breath froze in the air. And beneath the frost, I could see shapes, faces forming in the ice. One of them looked like the tow driver. The others were still screaming. The cab filled with white vapor. My fingers went numb. The CB kept whispering, repeating the same words over and over. Keep driving. Keep driving. Keep driving. Then, through the blur, I saw something move ahead. Headlights. Another truck. Coming fast. I flashed my brights, desperate for help. As it passed, I saw the driver's face clearly through his windshield. It was me. He smiled as the two trucks passed each other. And then the world went white. When I woke up, it was morning. Sunlight reflecting off endless fields of ice. The road was dry. My truck sat perfectly upright on the shoulder. No damage at all. The CB was quiet. For a moment, I almost convinced myself I'd dreamt it all. Then I looked at the rear view mirror. The inside of the glass was fogged over, and someone had written 3 words in the condensation. Turn around. Dale, that was 2 winters ago. I still drive the northern routes. I tell myself I have to. It's my job, it's my life. But every time the temperature drops below freezing, my CB flickers to life on its own. The same voice. Soft and patient. You hit the ice. Sometimes I hear knocking on the cab. Sometimes I see faces in the frost. And sometimes, when the road curves just right, I catch sight of a wrecked truck in the ditch, one that looks exactly like mine. The driver inside always looks up and smiles. I should have known something was wrong when the dispatcher wouldn't tell me what was in the trailer. That happens. Sometimes high-value shipments, classified materials, whatever. But this was different. His voice on the phone was tight, like he was reading a script. All you gotta do is haul it from Kansas City to Denver, he said. No stops. No questions. You get a $5,000 bonus if it's on time. $5,000? I laughed. What's in it, gold bricks? A pause. Just freight, he said finally. Make sure the doors stay locked. The pickup yard was empty when I got there. Midnight, snow spitting in the wind. The trailer was parked alone under a flickering light. Number 9135, unmarked. When I backed up to hook it, I noticed the seal tag on the latch wasn't the usual metal type. It was plastic, almost like it had been replaced in a hurry. And when the 5th wheel locked, I swear I heard something shift inside, not the thump of boxes. Heavier, slower. Like something rolling. I shook it off. Probably machinery or pipes. I'd hauled stranger things. I hit I-70 westbound, cruising easy. Empty highway, full moon, black coffee in the cup holder. The first 2 hours were fine. Then I started hearing it. A faint thud somewhere deep inside the trailer. Then silence. Then another, louder one. I checked the mirrors, nothing but the long, dark box following me like a shadow. I turned the CB on just for noise static. Then a voice. Faint but sharp. You picked it up, didn't you? I froze. Who is this? I asked. Doesn't matter. Just don't stop. The radio clicked off by itself. My skin prickled all over. I drove another hour before pulling into a way station outside Salina. I told myself I'd check the load, just to calm my nerves. But when I stepped out of the cab, the air was wrong. Still, no wind, no sound. Even the hum of the highway had vanished. I walked to the back of the trailer, flashlight shaking in my hand. The air smelled like hot metal and something sweet, almost like burned syrup. The seal tag was gone. Just gone. The latch was hanging open. I hesitated, my breath fogging in the cold. I should have called dispatch. Should have called someone. Instead, I reached up and lifted the latch. The door creaked open. It was pitch black inside. My flashlight beam cut through dust and smoke, but no cargo. The trailer was empty. Completely. No crates. No straps. Not even a scuff on the floor. Just long drag marks, leading from the front of the trailer to the door, like something had crawled out. The hair on my neck stood straight up. I slammed the door shut and climbed back in the truck. The CB came alive again as soon as I turned the key. You opened it, the voice said. Who are you? I shouted. No response. Just breathing. I threw it in gear and hit the gas. I didn't care about way stations or logs or bonuses anymore. I just needed to move. I kept the hammer down for miles, checking the mirrors every 30 seconds. At first, nothing. Then headlights appeared behind me. 2 bright beams closing fast. Finally, I muttered, highway patrol. But the lights didn't pass me. They stayed right on my tail, too close. I grabbed the mic. Hey partner, you want to back off before you climb in my trailer? Static. Then a voice that wasn't human. Low, slow, like it was being dragged through gravel. You're not supposed to see it. The lights blinked off. I mean completely off. 1 second blinding me. The next, pure darkness. I slammed the brakes. Heart in my throat. Nothing behind me. No car. No headlights. Just the empty road. The CB crackled again. You're not supposed to see it. Then laughter. A horrible, wet sound that made my stomach twist. I killed the radio and drove. Didn't matter where, just west. Into the dark. The road stretched on forever. The world around me empty and silent. Then out of nowhere, I saw a sign I didn't recognize. Last services 12 Malesi. Didn't remember there being a gas station out here, but I needed fuel. And sleep. The place appeared out of the fog like a mirage. An old station. Lights humming. A diner attached. 2 pumps. A single truck parked out front. I pulled in slow. The other truck was a twin of mine. Same model. Same color. Even the same company decal. I got out, rubbing the chill from my hands. That's when I saw it. The trailer. Number #9135. The same one I was hauling. Except mine was sitting right behind me. My stomach flipped. I walked closer. The cab door on the twin rig was open. Inside, a man sat slumped against the steering wheel. His face was pale, frozen in expression of terror. His hands were blackened at the fingertips, like he'd been burned from the inside out. In his lap sat a logbook. I picked it up. The last line was written in shaky handwriting. Don't open the door. I dropped it and ran back toward my truck. But when I grabbed the handle, the door was already open. I froze. Someone was sitting in the driver's seat. It was me. Same jacket, same hat, same terrified look on his face. He turned slowly, smiled just a little too wide, and said, "You're late." I stumbled back, heart hammering so hard I couldn't breathe. The thing in my truck didn't move. He just stared at me from the driver's seat, his smile too still, too patient. The interior lights flickered, turning his face into something hollow. "Get out," I managed to whisper. He didn't. He leaned forward slowly, resting his hands on the steering wheel. I realized then they weren't hands at all. They looked like mine, but the skin was ashen and cracked, like frostbitten leather. "You shouldn't have looked," he said. His voice came out wrong, like it was layered with static, as if a dozen mouths were speaking under his. I backed away. The wind outside the diner had gone completely quiet. Even the neon open sign had stopped flickering. Frozen midlight. Then from the trailer behind my truck came a sound I'll never forget. A long dragging scrape, like something huge shifting its weight. I turned toward the noise. The back door of the trailer was open again. The seal was gone, the latch swinging loose. The air coming out of it was hot, burning against my skin despite the freezing night. And beneath the hum of the engine, I heard it breathing. Slow, heavy, wet. I ran to the diner, shoving through the glass doors, but the inside was empty. Every table set, coffee cups steaming, but no people. Not a single one. "Hello?" I shouted. My voice bounced back at me, hollow and distorted. Somewhere deeper in the diner, a radio crackled. Then, that same voice, the one from the CB, murmured, "Don't leave it behind." I should have run right then. Should have just left the keys, walked until daylight, but I didn't. I went back outside. My truck, both trucks were still there, but now only one had a trailer attached. Mine. And the engine was running. I climbed these steps to the cab, gripping the door handle. The air inside reeked of metal and ozone, like after a lightning strike. The dash lights glowed an unnatural red, gauges twitching on their own. On the passenger seat sat a small black box I hadn't noticed before. It was the size of a toolbox, with a metal tag bolted to the lid. Property of Aurora Illogistias, the same company I'd been hired through. There was a faint sound coming from inside, like a heartbeat. I touched the lid. Warm. Too warm. I thought about the dispatcher's voice again. His warning. No stops. No questions. Then I remembered the man in the other truck. The note in his lap, "Don't open the door." I should have listened. The second I lifted the latch, the box made a sharp, gasping sound, like it had taken its first breath in years. Then came the light. A deep red glow spilled out, painting the cabin pulses like a heartbeat. I couldn't look away. It wasn't just light, it was moving. Like smoke that had learned to think. Shapes began to form inside the glow. Arms, faces, thousands of them. All pressing outward, mouths open in silent screams. Then a voice. Quiet but right in my ear, "You took the load." I dropped the box, but it didn't hit the floor. It hung there in the air, suspended like it was caught in thick water. And when I looked up, I wasn't sitting in my truck anymore. I was standing in the middle of a long corridor, metal walls, flickering lights overhead, the same ones used in refrigerated trailers. The air was freezing. Down the hall, I could hear footsteps. I started walking toward them. Every few steps, the lights behind me blinked out. At the end of the hall was a door with a small window. Through it, I could see the highway. Snow falling. My truck parked on the shoulder. I was sitting inside. It driving. My reflection turned its head toward me through the glass. Its eyes were black. "You weren't supposed to stop," it said. I pounded on the door, desperate to get out, but the floor beneath me began to melt. The metal turned soft, dripping like wax. The box reappeared in my hands. It was open again, the red light pouring upward, and through it, I saw faces, the same ones from the trailer walls, frozen in place, their mouths still moving. One of them looked just like the tow driver from that other story I'd heard on the road. Another looked like me. All whispering the same thing. "Keep hauling." I woke up to the sound of rain on the windshield. Daylight. My truck was parked at a rest stop somewhere in Colorado. The engine was running. Coffee still hot in the cup holder. I told myself I must have fallen asleep. Dreamed the whole thing. But then I noticed the bill of lading sitting on the passenger seat. My name. My signature. The delivery marked completed. And the timestamp 2:37 a.m. I hadn't been awake then. The back of the trailer was sealed again. A fresh plastic tag, stamped with the same number, 9135. When I dropped the load at the depot, the worker who signed me out barely glanced at the paperwork. "Late night, huh?" he said. "Yeah," I muttered. "What was in that trailer?" He looked confused. "Empty." "No, it wasn't," I said. "There was something," he cut me off. "Buddy, that thing's been sitting here since yesterday morning. You probably got the wrong dispatch." He walked away, whistling. I stood there, staring at the trailer. The metal was spotless. Too clean. And on the back, just beneath the latch, was a perfect handprint burned into the paint. That was 6 weeks ago. The bonus hit my account. But no one at Aurora Logistics will answer my calls anymore. The dispatcher's number goes straight to a dead line. Sometimes I hear him on the CB, though. Late at night, when the road's empty and the snow starts falling again. "Keep it moving." "Driver," he says. And then that sound starts up in the trailer, slow, dragging, heavy, like something breathing. I tried to quit. I really did. But every time I tell myself I'm done, another job shows up in my inbox. No company name, no pickup address, just a time, a location, and a number. 9135. The truck's always there, idling, the trailer already hooked, and when I get close, I can hear it whispering from inside. Not angry, not threatening, just patient. Waiting. Last night, I opened the logbook to check my odometer, and there it was again, handwritten in shaky black ink. I don't remember writing, "Don't stop this time." I don't remember picking up the pen. I don't remember driving out of the yard, but I'm on the road again now. And the CB's alive with static. Every so often, through the crackle, A voice slips through. Not the dispatcher's, not mine. A woman's voice this time. Soft, familiar. "Keep hauling," she says. "Don't leave it behind." I think she's in the trailer. The highway's empty tonight. Snow starting to fall. The moon's bright enough to see the road signs flashing by dot, and every time I check the mirror, I swear I see a shadow moving behind the trailer doors just for a second, like someone's trying to get out. Or maybe trying to get in. The CB light flickers once. More. "You took the load," the voice whispers. Then silence, but in that silence, under the hum of the tires, I can hear it again, steady, slow. Almost human. Breathing. I don't know what's back there. Don't wanna know, but I keep driving, because I've learned the truth about that load. It's not cargo. It's a passenger. And if I ever stop again, it'll finally finish the trip.